Okay. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order, the August 27th, 2024 School Board Work Session. Oops. Just a second. For item 1.02, approval of electronic participation from a remote location, we have a board member that would prefer to remote in. We're going to need a motion. Can I have a motion from one of the board? Mr. Anderson, Jared, you.
I move.
Oh, you have to. It's one. Okay.
What's up?
Kathleen.
Oh.
It's an actual motion.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah. Kathleen.
right here. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
He's got it. He's got it.
Okay. Jared.
In accordance with policy BDD, I move to approve the participation of school board member Bethany Henderson by remote access to the school board meeting from her home due to a personal matter, specifically not feeling well.
Okay. Thank you, Jared. Do I have a second? Thank you, Kathleen. Ms. Goodell.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Gould?
Yes.
Ms. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Tice?
Yes.
And Ms. Henderson?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bethany. We hope you feel better. All right. We're going to go ahead and move to 1.04, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Pledge allegiance. Thank you. All right, 1.05, we need adoption of the agenda. Can I please have a motion for adoption of the agenda? Thank you, Kathleen.
I move to, oops, there we go. I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Kathleen. Can I have a second? Thank you, Amy. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right. All right, well, we are here for our work session, a couple topics tonight. We're going to kick off with an exciting one every year. So, Dr. Noonan, K-12 Insight.
Yeah, well, good evening, everybody, and thanks so much for being here. I'd like to welcome Dr. Kate Shoulders. You're becoming a part of our team. Now this will be your third year in a row with us. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Just for information and background for those that are watching at home and some of the board members that may not have been on with us last year and the prior year, is each year we engage with K-12 Insight to help us survey a variety of folks in our community. And we do this in alternating years. In 1 year, 2 years ago, we surveyed our staff and our students. And last year we surveyed our parent community. And this year we redid the staff and student survey. And the idea is that in this cadence of every other year, we'll be able to look at some data, see where we're trending, where are some areas of growth, and the like. And so with the extraordinary support of Dr. Shoulders and the work of our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Bates' team, they have pulled together some information that I think will be really useful and helpful for us moving forward. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. Bates and to Dr. Shoulders.
Thank you, Dr. Noonan. Good evening, Chair Gould and Vice Chair Tice, members of the board. So we're really excited to be able to have this opportunity to present our school climate data to you. Over the past 8 months or so, we've had an opportunity to work with Dr. Shoulders. As Dr. Noonan shared, she's become a familiar face here with the team, and we really appreciate the help that she's giving us. When we think about some of the support that she's provided us over the past 8 or so months, what she's done is she's helped to develop the survey based upon our needs. She's led us in the analysis of the data, and also supported our leaders with giving them some coaching around a Making Feedback Matter session to look at best ways to share out the data. She's also prepared the presentation for us tonight, and so we appreciate that. Before we get into the presentation, just want to orient us a bit. So we're going to look at three major buckets or sections within the presentation. The first will be based on campus-based staff members and their perceptions of school climate. And what we'll look at in that section is the overall school quality perception, interactions, communication, and perceptions of school leadership, and then a comparison over time and a comparison against the national benchmark. In the second section, we'll look at school quality and the highest and lowest ranking indicators based upon sample questions that were asked to students in groups grades 6 through 12, grades 3 through 5, and then students in K through 2. In that section, as we looked at students' perceptions, we'll look at the overall school quality, interactions, communication, and perceptions of school leadership, and the comparison over time and a comparison against the national benchmark. And then in the third section, we'll look at overall employee engagement and staff perceptions of our district leadership. We'll look at celebrations and opportunities in order to increase employee engagement. We'll also look at that comparison to the national benchmark. And then you'll also see a net promoter score for our district leadership and our school-based campus leadership. And so without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Kate Shoulders to share our school climate data. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the introduction. I do feel as though I've gotten to be a more, you all are definitely a district that I see more frequently than some of my others. I feel at this point, I think next time I'm going to come in and purchase the Falls Church. You have shirts, right? I'm hoping so that I can get. Well, I have said this repeatedly to district leaders, to each of the principals and assistant principals when I was there for our Making Feedback Matter workshop. And I've said this to you all in the past at these meetings. As a parent of 3 kids, one of them with high special needs, and they are in a variety of grades, I would be thrilled if my kids went to Falls Church City Public Schools. And I don't say that to many districts, but after seeing data over time and really getting a feel for overall school climate and the engagement of staff members, I would be thrilled if any of my kids, all of my kids were students with you all. So overall, my hope for this presentation, and when I went through the data at length over the last probably 6, 7 months, there are some major points of celebration. This would be a great evening for you all to go home and grab an ice cream and say, yeah, we've done really great work. Because that's overall, if you take away one thing from my presentation with you this evening, it is that these are some, there are pieces in this data that are fairly unique to your district. And they're phenomenal. So it's a fun presentation to be able to share with you this evening. Without further ado, I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see. Could you please turn sharing on? Thank you. Got it. Okay, at this point, you should be able to see my presentation, and I'll let you know I'm working on 2 monitors, and so this way I can both communicate with you and look at my presentation as I go. So if you see me not making eye contact with you, but looking at my second monitor, that is where my presentation is for you this evening. So getting started, as Dr. Bates shared with you, we focused on both school climate and employee engagement for staff and students over the past year. First, we will focus on school climate and the results from campus-based staff members. Here, and again, as Dr. Bates mentioned, you'll see some slides that share a comparison between FCCPS and the national benchmark. This is comparing data across all districts across the nation that shared this same benchmark survey. So you can see here when asked about the overall quality of education at their school. FCCPS ended up with much higher percentages of favorable responses than what we saw across the nation with that national benchmark. So again, you're looking for those excellent and good, and again, much higher than what was seen in the national benchmark. Looking then comparison over time, we can see essentially, if you remember the book from, I'm dating myself now, probably a couple of decades ago, That Good to Great, that's essentially what was seen here. We had responses that moved from indicating that their school was rated as good up to excellent. So that's where the major shift occurred from the 21-22 administration of this survey to the past year. Looking then at the overall school climate dimension scores, again, comparing FCCPS with the national benchmark, because we are employing census sampling, we ask every staff member, campus-based staff member for these questions, every student these questions. And so because of that, the more descriptive statistics are more appropriate. Inferential statistics that infer to a larger population aren't appropriate since we don't have a larger population to which to infer. However, when I'm looking at data as a social scientist, again, going off of those descriptive statistics, I view anything over 2% shift as something warranting further attention. If it's 1% shift, 2% shift, that could be someone's mood over time, giving something a 4 or a 3 or a 3 or a 2. So again, over 2%. And if we look through here, we really only have one, those interactions with school leadership that had a shift that was greater than 2%. So as we're seeing that here, I want to share with you, again, those are between the national benchmark and FCCPS. This would warrant closer look to ascertain a little bit further what is going on here that there may be such a shift between those. So let's look a little bit further at the school leadership questions within that dimension. Here are the questions that are within the interactions with school leadership dimension. One item to point out, now again, looking back very quickly, in the comparison slide, we have percentages of favorable responses, that being strongly agree and agree. However, don't know is also a possible answer option. So just because something is 83% are favorable, we can't assume that all the other responses are unfavorable. And that is exactly what's displaying here. The principal or assistant principals are visible at school events, had a higher percentage of don't know responses than some of the others. Now, these three, we do see those higher percentages of disagree. And so let's take a further look at those items as well. Comparing these over time from the 21-22 survey administration, we can see that those first two items, the principal or assistant principal makes decisions that are in the best interest of students, and the principal or assistant principal clearly communicates the school's goals, both increased by at least 5% from the previous survey administration. So these were identified as areas of potential focus 2 years ago, and improvements in growth have been made over that time. So that's excellent to see. Next, we can see these two questions were not asked in the 21-22 administration. So this is a great opportunity for some baseline data for FCCPS to take a look at these and see if these are potential areas for focus in the future. Then we can see, looking at communications with school leadership, I wanted to share this with you as well, because it gets really at some of the interactions, those direct communications that campus-based staff members are having with their school leaders. Here, the follow-up questions are only asked to those who indicated that, yes, they had reached out to a principal or assistant principal with a need or concern. So the next questions we'll see have only been asked to this 76%. When asked if the principal or assistant principals were responsive courteous, and helpful. We can see near total agreement for the courteousness of assistant principals and principals, very high levels of agreement with the responsiveness, and then high level over 80%. So still high, but for favorable responses in that the assistant principal and principal were helpful. I will note across the nation, we see this have higher levels of disagreement and have concluded based on follow-up conversations and analysis of open response questions that many people, when they don't get the answer they wanted to get, view a response as unhelpful. So there, that needs to be considered when looking at that higher level of disagreement. Next, looking at those highest and lowest ranking indicators, these are the top 5 percentages of favorable responses and the highest percentages of unfavorable responses, again, going by percentage. So we can see here, highest ranking, we had 2 within safety, security, and student behavior. I will point out this school is safe very rarely shows up on highest percentage of most favorable. I see this one much more frequently in working with school districts in this lowest ranking table. That is a very high percentage for people indicating they feel the school is safe. So that's a major point of celebration. We can see here those with higher percentages of unfavorable responses. 4 were from safety, security, and student behavior, getting at other aspects that go beyond whether or not the staff member feels the school is safe. Next, I calculated the top 5 items with highest growth and highest growth in both favorable and decline in favorable responses. Again, looking at those that were over 2%. And so we can see here we had 5, a top 5 here. The one with the greatest growth in favorable responses from family involvement, 3 of them coming from family involvement, and then 2, again, with that area that had that greatest disparity between the national benchmark, 2 of those growth within interactions with school leadership. When looking at percentages of decline in favorable responses, there was only 1 item that had a decline that was over 2%. That being the school provides opportunities for the community to provide input on how to improve the school environment and experience. This one always perplexes me a bit because they are literally answering the question on a survey asking for their input on how to improve the school environment and experience. So I'm never totally sure how this how people answer this one with a disagreement on a survey asking them for input. So that would certainly be an opportunity for further inquiry as to what they may consider opportunities to provide to provide input if this is not considered one. Next, as Dr. Bates mentioned, we'll talk about the Net Promoter Score, and I'm going to give a brief crash course on what Net Promoter Score is. Net Promoter Score asks the question, if you knew someone moving to the area with a school-age child, how likely would you be to recommend your school to them? It's on a scale from 0 to 10. Those answering from 0 to 6 are considered your detractors. These are people who are speaking against the school district and they're sharing their negative experiences that they've had with others. Those that answer from 7 to 8 are considered passives. They're satisfied with their experiences with their school, but they're not necessarily sharing them. They're quiet but happy. Those who answer 9 or 10 are your advocates. These are the folks who are speaking in favor and sharing their positive experiences with their friends and folks that they know. The calculation is based on the difference between the percentage of promoters and the percentage of detractors. And so your score can range anywhere from -100, which would indicate that you've got 100% of your respondents answering as a detractor. and speaking out against your district, all the way up to 100, which indicates you've got 100% of your respondents speaking out for the district and advocating for the district. Any score above 0 indicates that you have more people speaking in favor of your district than you do against. So any score over 0 is essentially what we're aiming for. You can see here, the national benchmark had an overall NPS of 29, and then a huge jump from that, FCCPS had an NPS of 37. So again, major point of celebration. This would be something to share with families so they can see what a phenomenal community and group of advocates the district has. Next, we'll look at those students in grades 6 through 12. Again, this is going to follow a similar pattern to what we saw with the campus-based students where applicable. Compared to the national benchmark, FCCPS saw higher percentages of favorable responses to the overall school quality question, both in excellent and good. Over time, we can again see that we had a jump. This time that jump was from both fair and good responses, once again up to excellent. So again, point of celebration. Looking then at the comparison with the national benchmark to for each of the school climate dimensions, huge percentages of favorable responses for FCCPS in comparison to the national benchmark. So you can see throughout massive percentages of an increase in favorable responses from what was seen with that national benchmark. Looking at the highest and lowest ranking indicators, all top 5 were above 90%, which is excellent to see. And you can see here, again, this school is safe was identified as one of those highest ranking indicators. Again, very unique. For those that are the lowest ranking indicators, again, 4 were within that safety, security, and student behavior, several of them being similar to what we saw with the campus-based staff, focusing on respect and discipline. Lastly, and we'll talk about this one a little bit more with the elementary students, the school has 0 tolerance for bullying and or bully-like behavior. We're seeing the notion of bullying and the prevalence of bullying in self-report responses increasing across the nation. However, what we're also seeing is a greater variety and disparity between students and the adults of a school in defining what bullying is considered. And so oftentimes we're seeing, for example, among students, I spoke with one student during a focus group who said, I looked over and that student was looking at me and I thought she might be talking about me, so she was bullying me. And so we're seeing quite a few districts make a shift in how they're sharing their operational definition of bullying with students. That might be something to consider to see if we can improve the validity of this of responses for items that discuss prevalence of bullying. Looking then at these same students in grades 6 through 12, greatest growth and decline, again, top 5, over 2%. We've got 5 here with some huge growth, 17% in the principal and our assistant principal makes decisions that are in the best interest of all students. 12% that they communicate the goals. And you can see from there. Only 2 items had a decline in favorable responses, and those were again, this school has 0 tolerance for bullying, and the students are academically challenged by their work. So again, that same caveat with bullying-related questions, and maybe an opportunity to focus on district-wide operational definition of bullying. Next, looking at students in grades 3 through 5, because of the variety of answer choices that different districts offer for their students in grades 3 through 5. We do not offer a benchmark report for those just because there's such great disparity in the answer choices. But you can see here for FCCPS, we had high levels of favorable responses and how they would rate their school. You can see here over time, we did have a little bit of a shift from excellent and good down to more that fair category. Looking at the dimension scores over time, there are fewer dimensions for students in grades 3 through 5. So you'll see that here. And we did have a shift in answer choices from 21-22 to 23-24. And that's, I want to make sure that you're noting that. So the blue are all true responses indicated as favorable. And then for the most recent administration, answers were shifted to yes, sometimes no. And so these include both yes and sometimes. So in the future, as we keep some consistency in our answer choices, then you'll see some trending that is able to compare a little bit more apples to apples there. Highest and lowest ranking indicators. 3 of the items, you can see they were all incredibly high in favorable responses for these top 5. 3 of them had 100% favorable response. Again, I feel safe in my school was once again included, which again, very unique and phenomenal to see. If I'm sure you all know a great deal about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If your students don't feel safe, they can't focus on learning, other aspects that they view as less critical to their safety and security. So to have such high percentages of favorable responses with this is a fantastic foundation for an educational setting. Lowest ranking indicators, percentages of no responses. Again, we can see here focusing slightly on bullying included there, schoolwork being challenging, 2 coming from safety, security, and student behavior, and 2 from teaching and learning. Lastly, students in grades K through 2, and I will note you are the only district that includes the opinions of kindergarten through 2nd grade. And I think it's phenomenal that the district as a whole views these students as valued stakeholders with opinions worth hearing. So I love sharing the K through 2 results. Here, we don't ask we make sure that the survey is cognitively appropriate and appropriate in length for the different age groups. And that's why you see them separated. For the K through 2 students, these are read aloud and there are thumbs up and thumbs down for them to respond to. We do ask them questions from each dimension, but there aren't enough questions from each to create an actual multiple dimensions. And so we don't have those dimension categories with these grade levels. So we'll share the highest and lowest ranking indicators, percentages of favorable responses. You can see here, again, very high. Everything was above 95%. And once again, I feel safe in my school was one of those. 4 of those came from safety, security, and student behavior. Percentages of unfavorable responses, and you'll see there is a note here. Sometimes kids bully each other at my school was reverse coded due to the wording of that question. And again, noting that caveat of the operational definition of bullying and how that can be very different among students versus adults in a district. Indicators with greatest growth and decline, there were 2 that had over 2% growth. You can see my family members go to school events, massive growth from 21-22 to now. Makes sense. 21-22, we were very freshly post-COVID, sometimes not even. And only 1 item had any decline in favorable responses. My schoolwork is challenging most of the time. Lastly, we'll take a look at employee engagement. These questions were asked to all staff members across the district. Focusing first on overall engagement, we asked a series of 8 questions that calculates an overall engagement score, and you can see compared again to the national benchmark. While we had similar responses between in favorable responses as far as overall favorable engagement, either highly engaged or engaged, between FCCPS and the benchmark, we can see that there was a greater percentage of highly engaged staff members at FCCPS than what we saw overall from the national benchmark. So excellent to see. Next, we're going to take a look at focus areas from the additional dimensions that focus on employee engagement. So there are 36 items that were utilized, and we identified the correlation of each of those items to be able to help the district identify which items have the highest relationship to employee engagement. Therefore, if you focus on these items, you are more likely to see a higher return on improved employee engagement than you would focusing on items that have a weaker relationship with engagement. So I'm going to give a very brief crash course in correlations just to make sure we're all on the same page if it's been a minute since you've taken that class. So the correlation between two items it displays how one item shifts based on another item's response, one being on an x-axis and one being on a y-axis. So for example, as temperature goes down, so does consumption of ice cream. Typically, as it gets colder, ice cream consumption also goes down. So that would be a direct correlation, and correlations can be between -1 and 1. 0 indicates this here in the middle. There is no correlation, no relationship between two items. A positive correlation up to 1 indicates that as one thing moves up 1 point, the other thing moves up 1 point. That would be a correlation of 1. You can also have correlations that are negative, as one thing increases by 1 point, another thing decreases by 1 point. An example of that would be as temperature goes up, wearing shorts. Well, as temperature goes up, wearing winter coats goes down. That would be an inverse or a negative correlation. With these, your correlation again can be between -1 and 1. And then anything that's lower than 1 indicates that shift in points based on the other item increasing by 1. So for example, a correlation of 0.7 indicates as one thing goes up 1 point, the other thing goes up 0.7 points. Okay. The median correlation between all of those 36 items to the overall employee engagement was 0.56. And then I wanted to share with you items that were higher, that had a higher correlation than that median correlation. Again, these items are those that have the greatest relationship to employee engagement. So for example, as someone's response in this item, district leaders promote a positive work culture. As someone's response in this goes up 0.7 points, their score on employee engagement goes up 1 point. So we can see these items here when they have the greatest relationship, the greatest correlation to employee engagement. And then as you look through here, you can see again that high percentage of highly engaged and engaged employees at FCCPS. These are the items that were most highly correlated with those. So you can see here throughout quite a bit on district leadership, quite a bit on feedback and appreciation and recognition. That then begs the question, how did we do in these items? Comparing, and I'm going to show you 2 slides so that you can, so that you're able to read each of the scores here. It's too many items for one slide. You can see here comparing with the national benchmark. FCCPS did phenomenally on the vast majority of these compared to the national benchmark. So we can see here quite a bit of an increase in favorable responses when looking at FCCPS scores as compared to the national benchmark. Feeling appreciated for my work. District leaders make good decisions on things that impact the district. District leaders empower and support school leadership. And then this one that was not included on the national benchmark. Next, and again, we can see here high percentages of favorable responses as compared to the national benchmark for several of these items. One that I do want to point out, and this is very common. If I remember correctly, FCCPS focused on their strategic plan 2 years ago. Is that correct?
A lot of emphasis on it.
Correct. Districts that are going through their introduction and their rollout of their strategic plan see huge jumps in percentage of favorable responses for this specific item. And so it is not surprising to me, based on when this survey fell, if across the nation we had more districts that were focusing and rolling out their strategic plan this past year, whereas you did yours a couple of years ago. And then lastly, looking at the Net Promoter Score for employee engagement and employment, the question has shifted a little. If you knew someone who was fit for a position within your school or department, how likely would you be to recommend your school or department as a place to work? It's calculated the same way. And again, we can see the FCCPS saw a higher overall Net Promoter Score than what was seen across the nation. With that, I thank you all so much for your time, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
And obviously, it's great to have your expertise over the years, because you can not only present the longitudinal data, but you can also, the story of where we're trying to go and how we're trying to do things. And it's also great you can comment on the progress that we're making based on the conversations. I know you've had a number of conversations with our staff about areas to improve, so that's exciting. I really appreciate the presentation from a presentation standpoint, if that makes sense. Clearly, the community is interested in data in our city, and the way you presented this and the analysis and the summary of the different domains is very helpful, especially from the amount of data that I know you could have presented and how much you collect. So we appreciate that. So, and then finally, I think it's a lot to celebrate, as you said. It's really exciting to see the progress that is made. It's really exciting to see the longitudinal connection finally after a couple of years. But it's great to see the growth that we're making in a lot of different areas. So hats off to Dr. Noonan and your team for all the different areas of growth. And so I'll pause there and see what questions that the board has. And Bethany, you're on screen as well. So anybody want to start us off?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay, Kathleen.
All right, first I want to echo that. Thank you so much. I find it so fascinating, and as Tate said, just so much to celebrate. It's really encouraging, and it's really fun to see the longitudinal data over time as well. My heart just swells picturing those kids clicking that they feel safe at school. To your point, I just feel like we can't downplay that enough. Because I'm hoping that they also are feeling emotionally safe. It's not just maybe there's an adult in the room. I'm hoping that also indicates that they feel both physically and emotionally safe. So that was really especially heartwarming data across the board. I just had a question about when you were drilling in, as Tate mentioned, I know you had so much more data than we're going to see in this. And I imagine you were also looking when you broke it apart school by school. And I was just curious, again, not that we need this information tonight, but did you see significant disparities between schools from either the staff or the students? Like when you were having individual conversations with the schools, were they overall similar, or did you find that like each school had a really unique story to tell?
A little bit of both. I didn't see anything in, and this was a phenomenal process and journey with your site-based leaders. I met with each school team individually to chat with them about their data and get a little bit more of the story within their location, which was it was phenomenal to feel like I'd been in each of those schools without ever actually being in them. I didn't see in any of those any data that stood out as surprising. From what I look at site-based data across the nation, and sometimes we have some that come up, particularly, and I agree with you, when we get the ones where students don't feel safe. It's hard to read those open response comments, and it's hard to share that data with folks that are really trying to make sure that their schools are a welcoming place. So I didn't notice anything different necessarily. I probably saw more similarities across schools than I did differences. We do always let folks know when you're looking at like staff versus students or students in different grade levels. The psychosocial stages of development that high school students are going through puts them at a bit of a challenging the authority mentality, which is, according to Erickson's stages of psychosocial development, it's what they should do. They should be trying to push back from authority and gain their own independence and try on different perceptions as they're trying to figure out what is theirs. And so across the board, we always see fewer favorable responses from secondary students than we do from any other group. And so sometimes when folks were looking at, the data of their staff members versus the data of their secondary students, we do let them know that's, seeing a shift there where consistently secondary students have lower percentages of favorable responses. We see that across the board, and again, we should. It's where they're at in their psychosocial development, and that's great to see. But it is also good to recognize, so you don't have great concern over what the staff is thinking versus what your students are thinking. Where I did see quite a bit of not disparity necessarily, but unique aspects among the schools is that when we were working on how to take their data and turn it into action, each site had, they had pulled together their data in ways that shared through the context of their site, this data point plus this data point and this data point, and then what we're hearing over here, anecdotally, or what we're seeing, we feel like then this aspect is the root cause, and that's where we want to focus. And those action plans that they were developing were very different, and they all had really different areas of focus, even if their data, even if nothing was glaring in each of their data points. They all had separate action plans with different focus areas based on the context of their site. So that was really interesting to see.
Thank you. That's fantastic. And I imagine that this data is extremely valuable for the school leadership as they're putting those action plans together to be able to really drill down on that. So I also appreciate your comments about the secondary students and, pushing back on authority, since I live with 3 teenagers. Thank you for making me feel better. But I just, what I appreciated, what stood out to me also in the data is that if there had been a school or an administrator that was really getting very negative numbers, the numbers are too high for anybody to have dragged it down significantly, which just shows me that it's across the board such a positive story. They wouldn't be that high if there was any school really dragging the numbers down. They wouldn't be able to stay that high. So that was extra encouraging. So thank you so much. I appreciated it very much. I enjoyed the presentation very much.
Thank you.
Lori?
Thank you so much for the presentation. Just a personal question. Does secondary mean 6 through 12 or 9 through 12?
6 through 12.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense and explains a lot. Thank you for that. I did want to ask about so I guess I have some questions about where you used national comparisons versus longitudinal comparisons, like on the school safety or the Net Promoter Score or any of the staff data. was that all national? And did we have any data from 2 years ago in order to see where specifically we are at versus nationally? While I appreciate the national comparisons, I do see Falls Church City Public Schools possibly not always comparable to a lot of the national schools, and so that might be a huge apples to oranges situation. If we were going to compare ourselves, I would like to see school districts that have, same socioeconomic size, geographic issues, but the nationals don't speak to me as much. The longitudinal does, and I just didn't see that on some of the points. So I was wondering if that exists.
Yes, the full report has full trending data for every item. I will, and I included that everywhere that it was available to be included within the highlighted points that I was sharing tonight. There was in the past some considerable custom work done to this survey in the 21-22 year. And so there was quite a bit that was unable to be trended over time because we did shift the survey to align much more closely with the current national benchmark survey so that then moving forward you can get both consistently trending over time and trending with the national benchmark so that you can see both of those. Because I understand your concern. Our benchmark report actually separates, it's got overall national benchmark, but then also has comparisons by district size. So you may find that valuable as well.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate that it's in the full report, which I'll take a look at. And finally, definitely appreciate the fact that you condensed it into a bite-size amount that the district could take for this evening. But the full report is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. I did, my goal with this was to, again, share those high points, but then if there were areas where if I was a school board member looking and say, hang on, I want to know more about that specifically, I tried to include those data points as well so that it was sort of a straight shot to what you may have questions about based on the highlights.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lori. Two administrative questions, just for definitions. In the slide deck at the upper left, it says campus-based staff members. Was anybody excluded, or is this just a standard text that you use to distinguish who's being surveyed?
So for the school climate questions, staff members who are not assigned to, and they self-report, what school or schools do you work in? Those that indicated that they do not work at a site, but are instead, for example, at central office and work throughout, they can't really comment on school climate because they're not in a school. And so those questions through the display logic of the survey simply don't show up to staff members who are not campus-based.
Perfect.
Again, because those are school climate questions, that is standard throughout our administration of the school climate benchmark survey.
Makes sense. No, that makes sense for clarification. And then the end size on a couple slides, can you just briefly describe why it changes as well for the campus-based staff members?
Yes, so anytime an individual decides to skip a question, none of our questions, unless maybe it's school site, so school site may be a mandatory question, but other than that, none of our perception questions are mandatory. And so if an individual skips a particular question, but then moves on and continues to submit the rest of the survey, we want to display those end counts so that we can see if there is a particular question that a large percentage of participants decided not to answer, we probably need to revisit the wording of that question. So you can see the end counts on each of those just so you can be aware we're fully transparent when there are participants who decided to skip the question.
Perfect. And this seems like from a response rate, this is a much higher response rate, correct, in terms of the staff that you received? It seems like it would be, right?
I don't know that one off the top of my head, but the full report does have in it a participation table that does display participation over time.
understanding where all of our staff are feeling. So that's great. So, okay. Thank you, Dr. Shoulders.
Sorry, I don't know that one off the top of my head.
No, I was trying to lead on that one. So, yeah, but I'll answer for you and just say it looks
is
great.
in the thing. It is in
Yeah.
the whole report. I can tell you that the participation table is in there. Thank you. Bethany, I see your hand.
Thank you so much for this report. I appreciate both your exciting news and also your analysis. You really dove into some important topics, and I think this really provides us with a clear picture of where things are. My question is simply if, because I haven't, wondering if you ever compare the overlap between some of the concerns expressed by students or the issues that students say, negatively report with what the teachers are saying from those same schools. Like, do you look at the correlate, if for instance, discipline is enforced fairly for all students, what is the overlap between what the students think and what the teachers think in that particular school?
So the site reports do have that information in there where you can easily compare staff responses to student responses and get a more broad picture. When we did look at the data individually with each site, and then in their Making Feedback Matter workshop where we focused on their action plans, they did utilize data from both students and staff members to really gain a more comprehensive picture of where some focus areas may be.
Thank you for sharing this great data. I'm one of the people who actually read in great detail the last one, so it's lovely to see the updated version. I am curious. I know the last time that y'all did this survey of students, there were some identifications of variations in some of these questions by race, ESL, enrollment, those types of things. And I'm curious, I assume that's in the full report, or I'm going to ask you, is that in the full report? And like Kathleen's question earlier, did you notice any big differences in either categories or individual questions by those types of categories?
Actually, that's a great question. Those were follow-up reports that were requested by different staff members within the district, and then channeling up to me through district administrators. And they were provided in additional follow-up reports that look a little different. Essentially, those end up being pivot tables so that you can really see the data very in near raw form to see percentage versus percentage for those different demographic categories. Those were not, as of yet, requested. There are certainly things that we can pull together, but we have not. There was no attention given to that as of yet.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification. Maybe something that we can discuss offline out of this context. The board and Dr. Noonan. The other question I had, you answered one of my colleagues' questions earlier about the national benchmarks. And I know those end numbers moved around a lot too. Can you just give us a sense, because I don't understand what was in the national benchmarks? Is that like every district? Is that a subset? Just like, what is that universe that?
Sure. So every K-12 Insight benchmark survey client all their data gets put into one aggregate pool. And so, yes, every district that K-12 Insight works with to administer our school climate survey ends up with their data in the national benchmark. And so, yeah, you will see those numbers fluctuate quite a bit because of taking, your 5 people who didn't answer this one particular question plus another school's 10 people who didn't answer that particular question, et cetera. So we do make sure, again, for transparency, that we don't want people to assume reading that report that the end count is the same throughout. And so for transparency, we include those on there. Yes, then they are in the full benchmark report, also divvied up again by district size. I believe it's under 10,000 students, 10,000 to, I'm not going to misquote this. There's like a middle size school and then a large district, so that you can maybe a little bit more closely compare your district to districts of similar size.
Thank you.
Comments, observations? Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Shoulders, thank you for the great work on this, and obviously thank you to Dr. Noon and his team for the great results, which is also equally exciting. All right. So I think Dr. Noon,
Yeah, I just want to know where we should go for ice cream, right? Since Dr. Shoulders said we should go out for ice cream.
You should go out for ice cream. Like I said, this is I always deliver this as a board presentation with excitement because I have yet to share data with you all or sitting in our first district debrief. These are exciting data points to share, and so it's always an enjoyable presentation for me to get to share those, as opposed to, we do sometimes have the ones where I cringe and say, okay, like let's focus on the ways that we can improve, because there are all kinds of ways that we can improve here. So to be able to deliver this kind of great news and in a celebratory light, I bought ice cream earlier at the store today to be able to celebrate with you this evening.
Thanks, Dr. Shoulders.
Thank you all so much for your time. If you have any further follow-up questions, I'm certainly available. Thanks.
great. Okay. That's, let's see here. All right, so that concludes 2.01, the K-12 student and staff survey data. And now we'll move on to 2.02, the review of policy JTEC or JTAC, student use of personal electronic devices. So just to remind where we're at and what we're trying to do with this conversation compared to the previous conversations that we've had at the school board. At the last meeting, we were discussing the possibility of a policy for personal use devices at the different levels. Specifically, we had a large group conversation around the high school and what exceptions, if any, would be allowed. It was lots of advice and thoughts and perspectives all together. It was a good conversation. What we did decide to do that night was not move forward on any kind of policy decision that night. So we held off on that based on the feedback that we got from principals and staff about where we're going. So what we'd like to do tonight, pause, do we have Bethany on there as a question? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. What we'd like to do tonight is we'd like to talk about the decision before us is the timing for when we want to decide to move on a policy. And what we'd like to do is decide on three options. We'd like to decide if we want to move forward on a policy sooner and decide on a policy for the K-12, how we govern personal use devices. In terms of like a September timeline, do we want to wait until after there's a state guidance that is out for public comment that is guidance is a bell-to-bell restriction at the high school and all other schools, and that should be ready, I think, in mid-September, October? Or do we want to wait until later, possibly after the winter break, to decide what we want to do with our decision around a policy on policy JTEC? So that's what we're deciding tonight, is the timing on when we'd like to move forward on a policy decision. So what I'm going to do now is just open it up to the board to discuss what their thoughts on their view on the timing and see if we can come to a conclusion so we can make sure the community is understanding where we're going. I will open it up. Okay, Kathleen?
Sure, I'll start. I would be very comfortable pushing off the decision until after winter break. I think that this is clearly one of those decisions that is not going to please everyone. There are so many factors to consider, and I feel like we were all, while we might not have been seeing everything eye to eye, I think we were all in agreement that it felt very rushed, and I think action from the state government kind of came before we were expecting it, and I think it would be prudent to give the community and the board time to fully to get more feedback, to fully get used to it. I also and let the school year start. I think that the professionals who came and gave us their perspective at our last board meeting felt very comfortable with the way they were starting the year, and they felt very confident that they had a good plan in place. So to me, I'm quite comfortable letting them lead with that plan throughout, at least through the first semester, and kind of see how it goes and get a sense of how the more stringent policies in area schools are going. I think we would just have a lot more information and could make a calmer decision if we wait a few months.
Thank you, Kathleen. Lori, then Amy.
I'm also in favor of waiting, probably not, but probably before winter break, just so that after winter break, maybe something can get implemented. To me, that seems like a good time to start it. If there is a change in the current policy, that would be a good time to implement the new policies right after winter break, which would require us to vote on something before winter break. But that doesn't have to be in August, September, October even. You know, that there is time to, as Ms. Tice was saying, to look at other school districts, to look at the guidance, to look at some other factors. And, you know, I would rather do this right versus do it rushed. You know, and, you know, maybe gather some more information from the mental health experts, from the Surgeon General, from psychologists that are speaking up on this, from different states that are implementing different rules, and just seeing how all that is going.
Thank you, Lori. Amy?
Sure. So I would be in favor of option 3, and I think that that's because regardless of where you stand on whether there should be a bell-to-bell ban on cell phones at Meridian, one thing that became clear to me after hearing from students and staff and administrators at the last meeting, as well as the emails that we've received from the community since then, and that's that banning cell phones entirely will, and if that's one of the options on the table, it's going to require a cultural shift in the way that our Meridian community communicates with one another. And so to me, that means two things. That this policy needs to be carefully written, and only after we've received feedback from all stakeholders. A cultural change can't be dictated and enforced from the top down. That type of change is not sustainable, and it tends to hurt morale. I say this based on my years of experience working with police departments, municipalities, and state agencies to effectuate long-lasting institutional change to comply with federal civil rights laws. What works is to engage stakeholders so that you can achieve some level of buy-in from all stakeholders before implementation. And so, in my view, the only option that allows for that would be option 3.
Thank you, Amy. Jared?
And so I think everyone does seem to be in agreement that it did seem a bit rushed. I think we were kind of under the impression that it would help the school leaders if we had a policy in place. But I think being able to, and especially with the kind of the speed at which BDOE is acting, it also kind of rushed things a bit. But I think if we're able to take our time, say, like Ms. Silverman, I think I would be in favor of, deciding at some point, like late, November or December, because I think we can take this next semester to hold, whatever town halls, focus groups with, parents and teachers, and just have conversations with our fellow community members to kind of get more perspectives and I think deeper perspectives that we can kind of go into it with them. I think that would be helpful.
All right. Thanks, Jared. Bethany, you feeling okay to jump in, or yeah, okay?
Thank you. I don't have a particular opinion as to when the exact timing to do this is. I agree that I agree with Amy that while policy is really important because it provides guidance and clarity, culture change is not something policy can achieve on its own absent community buy-in. And I think that process of really understanding what our community needs and what this emerging expertise and learning in the world is about the use of personal devices in schools is important for us to really understand. So I support not rushing to create a policy today. I don't have a particular opinion on December or January. I do think there's some really important information that I would like to have or input that I would like to have from the community or invite from the community to inform this. And for me, the North Star of all of this is creating a safe, supportive, and effective learning environment for all students. And one of the things that has become really clear to me through the many conversations I've had over the last couple of weeks with different community members, and I really appreciate everyone who has reached out to the board, who has reached out to me to share their perspectives, that this is a really personal issue for a lot of people, and that reasonable minds differ about what creates that safe, supportive, and effective learning environment. And so I think that's really important for us to kind of keep front and center is the goal here of creating an environment and a culture, supporting, I should say, a culture of learning and student well-being at our schools as it relates to the use of tech on campuses, personal device and otherwise. Some things that I'd really, that I'm particularly interested in understanding. I know there are a number of things that high schoolers currently rely on their smartphones to do that are education related, and what viable solutions might exist to move those activities away from smartphones and what that would take. I'm curious to understand how our teachers do or wish to use cell phones to further learning. I understand that happens in some classrooms in really productive ways, and whether there are equally a good or better alternatives. In short, I want to make sure we are not creating problems with a policy that are harming our students in ways that we don't have solutions for to offset any harm or eliminate any harm. I'm also curious to understand whether or not the in-class phone pouches the high school is currently experimenting with are being utilized with fidelity, and more importantly, whether they're having the results of reduced distraction, increased in-class engagement, and improved grades that other high schools have experienced from placing restrictions on cell phones. I've spent a lot of time looking at data, how other school districts are doing this. And so I want to see if what we are doing is having that effect. That will be very, very informative as to what the ultimate policy should be. I know we have a lot of expertise in our community, and so I invite any experts in this topic who live in our community to reach out to us and share your expertise. And finally, I'm personally eager to hear from more teachers and more high schoolers, particularly those whose voices aren't often heard, about what tech culture and policy would best support a safe, supportive learning environment for them.
And I'll go last. Clearly, we already have a majority of what we're going to be doing next. So, but I am also in supportive of the timeline that everybody has recommended for similar reasons, especially the cultural change that I think we all want to achieve. And that's, I think, given where we have been with schools' use of phones or students' use of phones, that's a big shift. And I think, as Bethany pointed out, not just in their personal use, but their family and communication. I think the next steps, obviously, we'll go ahead and we'll table this. I think as a board, we do have a responsibility to gather that feedback, and I think we will, as Jared mentioned, we will start to put together a plan for town halls, for on-site engagements, focus groups with students, with staff at Dr. Noonan's, working with Dr. Noonan, working with the community. So the board's going to take do its effort and try to gather and figure out where we're at with this. And from a timing perspective, I would just say, I know we've all mentioned the timing's been rushed. I know we've gotten concerns from staff about how fast this was moving. And I would say that I, as chair, that probably fell more on me about how fast we were moving, and I'll be very respectful of how we need to move this forward and make sure we need to do the work this fall, so we're all engaged on this and we're not moving too fast. So I'll take responsibility on that, but I do look forward to engaging. This is why our community is strong, why we're so grateful to be in this community, because we do have good disagreements, we do have good discussions, and so I'm looking forward to this board and this community engaging on a very important topic around how our students are connecting and experiencing our schools. So with that, Dr. Noonan, do you have any closing thoughts on that, or does that work for you?
We'll be here to support your data collection and information gathering.
Okay, great. And as Bethany mentioned, there are a couple area high schools that are piloting different approaches. I'm sure you know the list as well.
Yeah,
But
we're all piloting it.
okay.
So, we're all trying to figure out whether it's working or not. There's only one school division in the Northern Virginia region that has gone to the bell-to-bell no phones at the high school level, and I will check in. Currently, they don't have a superintendent in place, but I can check in with some colleagues there to see how that's going. But everyone's in the Northern Virginia region that we're in is doing that I'm aware of is doing the pouches. And I have a retreat with my colleagues in about 2 weeks, and I can check in just to kind of see how things are working with them. I will say I got a great photograph today from a classroom where all the kids' phones were up and on the shelves, and classroom instruction was happening, and they were not interfering at all with classroom instruction.
Great. All right. Thanks, Dr. Noonan. Kathleen?
Sorry. I just had a quick follow-up question. I don't know if it's for you, Dr. Noonan, or maybe Dr. Wright. Like, I don't know, what kinds of things could we be looking for in data? Could we be gathering this fall to get a sense that the teachers feel like the pouches are working, the students feel, I mean, as Bethany said, that they're both being used with fidelity, and that also that the teachers feel like it's having an impact. Like, one, I want to make sure this juice is worth the squeeze, and, how do we know?
I think we should bring some people back. It sounds like you all want to do some focus groups with staff and students, and I think that will be a great way to collect data. I also think bringing staff and students back to a work session would be a great idea.
Okay.
But in the end, I think the data is going to be hearing from them. I don't
Right.
know that we can necessarily determine, academic outcomes prior to not having it and now having,
Right.
them being put away. But I do think you're going to get a lot of anecdotal data from staff and students.
Great.
That can be helpful in your decision making.
Thank you. That sounds good.
Bethany, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, Dr. Noonan, I'm curious if you have the opportunity over the next couple of months. I know a lot of area private schools have gone to full bans on cell phones in the high school. And so I would be curious to know if you encounter any of them, what is and isn't working for them. I'm certainly looking into that on my own as well, but I think that could be instructive for our district.
Many of the local private schools don't take students with 504s, with IEPs, and so there's some fundamental differences between who they take and who we take, but I can certainly ask around.
I think there's some area high schools that are also piloting within Fairfax and Arlington. I don't know which ones, but I thought I've read that they might be more of the public school that deals with exceptions like you mentioned. So that might be helpful to connect with, so, yeah.
Yeah, Fairfax County, Loudoun, Prince William, Arlington, Alexandria are all using the same process we are, with the bags on the back of the doors and allowing students to have them at the high school during passing periods, lunch. So in terms of public schools in our immediate region, we're all doing the same thing. So I'll check in with my region colleagues again in 2 weeks and report back to all of you what I hear and about how it's going for them. But I will say that we're all engaged in the same process.
Okay. I thought, and I could be wrong, but I thought there was individual high schools that were piloting bell-to-bell restrictions within Arlington and Fairfax, if I have that wrong.
I know
yeah.
Robinson. I look at Robinson Secondary in
Okay.
Fairfax County was, I think, looking at yonder bags. I'm not sure if it was bell to bell,
Okay.
and I'm not sure it was for the high school.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Noonan. Lori?
Just out of curiosity, which high school is Bell to Bell?
It's a district, and it's Stafford County, as I understand it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, not Stafford County. It is Stafford County. Stafford County. That's right.
Great. Other questions or comments from the board? Or any questions for us, Dr. Noonan, on this?
I would only say, one of the things you might want to do with your time at VSBA is talk to some of your colleagues around the region as well and hear what they're doing. So you can do some of your own research as well as we do ours.
Perfect. So VSBA is Virginia State School Boards Association. That'll be in November. We're all around this table are heading, so great.
I think that's an excellent point, and perhaps is a good marker that data could be really helpful. So perhaps we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves before we have that opportunity, because that really is a unique opportunity to speak with other school boards from around the state. So.
Great. Okay. So we'll work on a schedule for the different types of engagements. We'll work with Dr. Noonan on making sure it works for their schedules, and then obviously we'll work with Mr. Brett on communication, getting out to the public, so we can figure out how have a great conversation on this. So thanks everybody for their patience. Thanks for the emails and the feedback on this, and we'll continue the conversation. All right. Now we get to go to 2.03 IB Placemat and Parent Hub. I think we'll go to Dr. Noonan on this.
Yeah, thank you. This evening we have our Director of Strategic Planning and Community Outreach, Mary Beth Connolly, with us. And as I think the school board is aware, one of our main areas of emphasis this year is around communication and the International Baccalaureate Program. I was planning to share these items with you at the end of the last regular meeting, but given the hour, I think it was about midnight or close to when we left, so I thought we would save it for tonight. And I've asked Mary Beth to come and share a little bit about the new Parent Hub, which is a new communication tool that we are utilizing, and then talk a little bit about our IB Placemat. So I'll turn it over to her.
Thanks, Dr. Noonan. It is my pleasure to be here tonight to talk about Parent Hub. And I'm so glad Rebecca Sharp is sitting right here because she was my co-conspirator on creating Parent Hub. We've been talking about it for a while, and it is actually the direct result of the K-12 survey from last year, where we heard from parents that they can't find things and it's hard to see stuff on the web. And we kept saying, but it's all there. Why can't they find it? It's all there. So we really put on a parent hat, and Rebecca was great at just making sure that we got all the topics that parents might really be concerned about. We talked to parents, we talked to the people in school offices that answer the phone to say, what do parents call you about? To find out really what the top things were that parents were concerned about. And Parent Hub is what we came up with. So if you look at the top there, it says hot topics, and these are the ones right there. They change throughout the year, but those are the things that are the most concerning to parents most of the time. So the number one question that school administrative assistants get is today an early release day? So we just put that number one at the top so parents can find that. Other things change. Earlier today, I moved school supplies down to the bottom section and put in COVID-19 guidance, since that popped up in the top section. We think parents may have that question coming up currently, and then once that waves away, we'll move that one down. So the best part about this is that almost all of this stuff existed already on our website, so it's almost like a brand new way to think about a table of contents. And then, John, if you scroll down a little further, then these are the more meatier, bigger questions that parents may have if they're concerned about, mental health issues, or what is the International Baccalaureate, or how do I look at report cards, how do I get a child find screening for my preschooler? So these are the more meatier ones are down at the bottom. One of the things we found as we did this is that there are some gaps, and so we have built some new pages, and we're working with some content experts to add some pages that weren't on the website. One example is donations. We wanted to make sure we included the Education Foundation for donations, but also if people want to donate items. I had someone call me today and ask if they could donate fabric from their mother's sewing room. So we don't have a page for that, but we will add that. And there are other topics that are just missing. And then at the very bottom, it says, if you have suggestions or ideas, please contact me, and we will add them. And I have gotten a few already, parents noting that either one link wasn't working, or they were looking for 8th grade school supply list, and that wasn't on there properly. So we are getting feedback from parents that it seems to be working. And we have these little cards that were handed out at Meet the Teacher Days. This one's in Spanish, and I think you have the English version there. So that QR code brings you right to the Parent Hub. It's in all of the school menus. So if you're on any of the school websites and you search Parent Hub, you'll find it. It's in the menu in the parent section. And at the moment, it's also right up at the top in the news section. And then one more new thing on there is called Parent Education Programs, if you just scroll down there. And that's sort of a throwback. We had Parent University before, and we found that was in need of a refresh, that it wasn't really doing what it was supposed to be doing. So Parent Education Programs is just a catch-all. Can you click on that one, John? And then do resources. Yep. So that page has all of the programs that are offered by all of our organizations or teachers in the division. There's a calendar, so it includes back to school nights, it includes any webinars, it includes regional partners, and then at the bottom there are articles and resources and other things that were on a whole wide variety of websites, so I pulled them all together. So helping parents talk with children about difficult topics. That came from the student services site, as well as the equity site. So there is a lot of information there that's also pulled together for parents. So we are hoping that this will be super successful and parents will no longer say, I can't find it. If you have suggestions or you talk to constituents, please let me know. We're happy to change it and update it as we go.
Can you go back to the homepage and show where it is on the
Yes.
homepage?
It's there right now, but John, if you go up to menu. Oh, it's right there. Yep. There's a block there, and then it's also in the menu. Just scroll down to parents. Right there. And it is on every school website the same way.
Oh. Great. Yeah, this is exciting. And I know I've already received significant amount of feedback on this about just like consolidation and where everyone can go. So this is great. So really appreciate all the help on pulling this together. I think as we saw from the K-12 Insight, we have a high degree of parental involvement. I would say also community involvement. And so having this kind of consolidation and jumping point is great for our community. So thank you so much for all the work on this. Lori.
Thank you so much for this. It's very helpful, and I'm sorry, I was unaware of it until tonight, so
Okay.
unlike
It was just
the
launched
Chair Gould, so thank
just
you.
about 5 days ago. So you're not that far behind.
Not that
don't
far
worry.
behind, thank you. So I am actually needing this right now. So
Okay.
I'm thinking about my issue that I'm having. So one idea
Yes.
I have is, so like on the Schoology and Power School login pages, right? So if you expand that, it gives you the Schoology login and the Power
Go to the
School
Parent
login.
Hub. All right, and then you've got Schoology. Yep.
And Power School, yep.
Yep.
Is it possible to also say, and if you're having a problem, a technical difficulty with either of these, please contact so-and-so with this email? You know,
Yes.
24 hours a day.
what-
Yes.
What's
yes.
that?
Yes. Yes. We can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, some of these don't need that extra connecting point.
Yeah. That's a
But
good
some
idea.
of them, my school bucks, if you're having a technical difficulty, like who do I call? So I'm currently
Right.
having a problem with logging into, is it still Schoology or is it called?
Schoology. For
Okay.
your sixth grader?
Well, no, I'm thinking of School Connect.
School Status Connect. Okay.
Yes. Just the technical
Right.
difficulties. So,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, I can add that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's
We
really
don't
a
have School Status
connection
Connect at the top, but I could put that up there since it's the beginning of the year and parents are just getting used to it.
Yeah, and instead of having the login, but also having
Yeah.
who you contact
Uh-huh.
for problems.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Thank
I will
you.
do that.
Because that will help me. So I'm being selfish here. Thank you.
Hey, we're
Amy?
all parents.
I just wanted to say thank you. I saw this last week and I almost teared up. I think it is so intuitive. And what I really like about it is that you can use it on the fly. Because I think a lot of parents, at least if they're like me, the time when they're trying to find the attendance line number is like when they're switching trains on the metro on the way to work. And so being able to just do a couple clicks and find it, I just absolutely love. I also like how there are things on here that I, at times in my life when we transferred to this district, I didn't know the answer to, and I was too afraid to ask out of embarrassment, like start and dismissal times. So I just think this page is excellent, and I am so excited it's here.
Thank you.
Kathleen?
Oh, I was just, yes, thank you. This is so awesome. We've heard nothing but rave reviews. It's also just really fun. I love how colorful it is. It's a good idea that's also well implemented. So thank you for that. I was just going to echo Lori's point. It might be worth kind of going down on a lot of these lists and seeing if there are opportunities to say, have questions, here's who to call, because that is always a
Yeah.
question, and people are always asking, who do I ask about this, who do I ask about that? So to add a little line there whenever, I think that's a good addition, but it's fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Jared?
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to echo everyone else's comments. This is fantastically organized. I think I was going through it a couple of days ago, looking for the lunch menu for Huxley. And so, yeah, I mean, this is fantastic
right
and
there?
very,
Yeah.
very much improves on the navigation to like useful resources. And I would recommend all the people out there watching this meeting right now to take a look.
It is definitely a hive brain thing that, like, as your suggestions have made it better. We had a focus group this summer with the parents who work in central office who have the same questions, and they came up with they really helped think it through, because all of our brains look at this a little bit differently. Parents of different ages look at it differently. And Rebecca, I don't know if you want to add anything, since you were, the driving force here.
We were partners, and I love seeing you all use it on your phones. That was the other thing that we were committed to when we started going down this road with the Parent Hub was, because that's what it's about. Find it fast. You should only have to click a couple times to get to what you need, and you should be able to just scroll through it easily on your phone. So that's exciting for us too. So.
Great. That's
So
exciting.
can we
I just
show?
want to say that thumbs down thing was not me. I don't know what that was all about. Your thumbs down pop up and Zoom. I think this is absolutely amazing. It's a huge leap forward in making this information accessible to families, because our website is so rich and so detailed, and this distills down the most essential things in such an easily findable way. So thank you for the time and effort you put into this. I know it looks really nice and simple, and I know getting it to that place was a lot of work, right? It didn't just pop out. So thank you.
Websites, you can't change the structure. You want to keep it the same, but as you mentioned, as certain topics become more interesting or less interesting, you can move this around, which I think will be great for parents as well. So yeah, so really appreciate all the work on this. So Dr. Noonan, do we?
I just was going to say, could we also show you the placemat tonight?
Oh, yeah, well, if you want to follow this with the placemat, let's say, hopefully it's just as exciting. So let's do it. Let's do it. Yes, sir.
Even more fun is the placemat. So this also came out of the K-12 parent survey. And one of the things that we always find in Falls Church is we have this amazing IB Continuum program, and our teachers are well versed in it, and our students are well versed in it, and yet there's people that still don't understand it. And what does it mean? So we were having this conversation about, you're just moving along like a game board, and then we said, oh, what if we made a Candyland game? Oh, what if we made Chutes and Ladders without the ladders? And then someone else said, what if it was the game of life? So that's where this came from. And we're going to use this a lot this year. It is the placemat, and it was handed out to all staff. We ordered large posters that are going to go in all the schools of it, and it'll go out to all parents when we do our parent mailing. But just to give you some highlights of what it means, and as you think about your own children, where they are on that journey. So the first part is yellow. And if you look at the bottom there, you see the IB Continuum logo. So the colors match the Continuum logo colors, not our school colors, which was very tricky to people. We had someone here who works for the Education Foundation, and her oldest child is a 5th grader. And when she saw it this summer, she said, oh, now I see what happens next. So as you go along, it gives you a little preview too. So the first part is pre-K at Jesse Thackeray, and you see there's a North Cherry Street sign there. Then we go into kindergarten at Mount Daniel, where they're in the primary years. Go on down to 3rd grade. And you see there's a North Oak Street sign and a South Oak Street sign. And then they go into the primary years program. Right in the center there is the 5th grade exhibition project. And this was one where we got a lot of feedback from teachers and from parents. And the teachers said, the 5th grade exhibition project, it's part of the PYP program. And I don't know that it's important to have it called out. And the parents all said, no, it's really important to have it called out, because that's the visible part that we really see. So we put the 5th grade exhibition and all the exhibition and the community project and the personal project in there, because they are milestones that parents can see. And then in 6th grade, you move into the red, which is the middle years program. And that takes you all through middle school. And then into 9th and 10th grade as well. There's a diploma planning island there in the middle. We put that arrow in for decision point at 11th and 12th grade, where you decide officially if you're going into the IB diploma program or the career-related program. But then we got feedback from people saying, but really that starts much earlier than 11th grade. So we had we have a diploma programming island there to remind people that that really does start in middle school as kids start to select what they want to do, but you don't have to make that official decision until 11th grade. And then when you get to 11th and 12th grade, you can choose the IB diploma, and that is in the same blue as the IB diploma blue, and then the career-related certificate is the purple. And then surrounding that are the Virginia diplomas, and we made sure to include all the different kinds of Virginia diplomas that we offer, which are standard, advanced, and applied studies. And then there's little descriptors in there so you can read those and learn more about the program. And then at the very end, there's a diploma cap and a bicycle riding off into the future. So and then that QR code brings you to the Falls Church IB website. So we're really hopeful that we'll be able to use this to help parents understand what it means to be an IB continuum, and to add some further information about different grade levels. So the hope is that we're going to get that onto the website, and you'll be able to click on K and go to a page and learn about what's happening in kindergarten in a different way than is there right now. And then on the back of this is the IB placemat from before. And we made one change to that this year. The upper left-hand side, it was called IB Infused Teaching and Learning. And we changed that to IB Teaching and Learning. And that came out of a lot of conversations with staff where we thought IB Infused Teaching and Learning implies that we're adding it into the learning, and we took the word infused out because IB is the learning. So we're going to call it IB Teaching and Learning. So hopefully you will see the Parent Hub and the Game Board many times this year and be able to explain it to people, and we'll use it to answer lots of questions. And maybe the next time we do the K-12 survey, everyone will understand about what the IB program is. It would be awesome. Any questions on that one?
Making sure there's no thumbs down from Bethany. No, we're good. No, this is great as well. I think from looking at how this is organized, the concept of, I know some of the questions like middle years goes all the way to 10th grade, for example. I love the personal projects as like these milestones, so people can see like the 5th grade, the 8th grade, the 10th grade effort is all similar. So I think that's great. Love the bikes. I'm sure the biking community will realize, that we can bike to schools. So no, this is great. I think it's exciting. Any other thoughts or reactions from folks?
I'll jump in. I also love the continued effort to really make this very complex framework understandable and really, really clear to families at all steps. I think it's an awesome value add to have this, to be able to explain IB to all members of our community, and I appreciate y'all putting the time in to do this.
I was just going to say, I can just see it's going to look really cute on everyone's refrigerators too. It's also just very visually appealing. It's helpful, but also it's cute enough you would actually want to keep it out.
And we have a Spanish language version too, so I have that as well that we'll be able to pass out and share.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to go to Ms. Minson for the review of temporary tieback easement agreement in West Falls Senior Building. Actually, or Dr. Noonan is, Ms. Minson.
Good evening. We have what might be our final easement for the economic development site next to the high school. This is for a temporary tieback, which would allow for the excavation, foundation, sheeting, and shoring permits for the senior center that's being built, or the senior community that's being built between the garage that exists at Haycock Road and Mustang Alley, and then continuing down Mustang Alley. So on page 11 of the document that's in front of the board, it shows where that portion would be. It's shaded in the top middle of the page. That just shows part of underneath Mustang Alley where the easement would lie. It is a temporary tieback easement, so it would be limited in time just for the construction of that senior development. Happy to answer any questions about this easement, but it was fairly easy to work through with outside counsel and with the attorneys for the development for the senior housing unit, and we feel good about it going forward to the board. Wanted to answer any questions you had about it, make it available for you today as part of the work session, and then assuming it looks good to the board, we would bring it for action at the board meeting next month.
Thank you, Ms. Minson. Any questions about the tieback easement agreement?
I'm sorry, can you walk us through this a little bit more slowly, if possible? What exactly are they looking to on our property for the easement?
Yes, this allows them to dig underground under Mustang Alley so that they can do the excavation and the foundation work for the senior development center that is currently the blank space in the economic development site. So it's a temporary easement, meaning it would only be in place for while they're doing the construction, and it's limited in time to when they're doing that construction.
And what is over, what are they digging under?
They're digging under Mustang Alley.
Under, okay, so that it's just street, it's not building, it's not people.
Correct, and it does have all of the language necessary that if there is any damage to our property, they cover that, they replace it, they fix it, they let us know when they're doing this work, and we would then be able to have control to say that doesn't work with our timing for schools and for other things, so.
And when is this work scheduled to happen?
That's a very good question. This easement agreement is needed prior to the closing on that property, so the hope is that the board could approve this in September or October. The closing, I believe, is the end of October, and then the construction would be within the 6 months after that closing.
Okay, so it is during the school year.
I believe it is, yes.
The closing is during the school year. I believe that they'll start construction likely in the spring.
Okay.
That's what they're looking at.
How disruptive is this to operations?
I don't think it'll be disruptive at all.
Okay.
Sorry, follow up on the disruption. So but I would assume that they need to close Mustang Alley to do the construction, or no?
It's all underneath the road, so if you think of the road kind of going from Haycock to the high school, it's down below far enough where they would sheet and sure, it's called, where they pile drive and then do some shoring, and then behind that there are metal tiebacks that go inside really deep under the ground and tie back to the construction. I don't believe that we would need to, but if we did need to close Mustang Alley at any point in time, we would have control of when it was closed and when it was open.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ms. Benson. No other questions? Okay. Thank you. All right, that concludes our work session for the topics we wanted to bring up. Now we're on to upcoming items 3.01. Dr. Noonan?
Right. So right now on the upcoming agendas, September 10th at the regular meeting, the spotlight will be my annual opening of schools report, which I'm really excited to do. There will be one resolution for Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. You all will be looking at SAO annual filings. There'll be a first reading. There'll be some first readings and second readings, I'm sure. But those are the big things that are coming up on the regular meeting on the 10th. And then at the 24th, what I would like to ask of the board, and I hope that you're agreeable to this, is we'd like to start an hour earlier on September 24th at 6 o'clock, and we would provide dinner. And we'd like to provide you with a closed meeting of the board to meet with Jeff Scafaro, who is our who is our labor management relations person. He would like to do sort of a collective bargaining 101, if you will, or training with the board on your role as board members within the context of a collective bargaining agreement. That would be from 6 to 7. Then the work session would begin at 7. At that point, we plan to look at student performance data. We will do a session on technology, safety, and security. Kind of what are the safety and security protocols that we have in place around technology, and then a final review of the budget for FY24. We're closing out for FY24. So my hope is that the 24th you all would be amenable to perhaps starting an hour earlier with some food so that we could, we have Jeff in town for another meeting already, and we thought to leverage him for that night would be a good opportunity.
Great. Okay, thank you, Dr. Noonan. And then for the opening of schools, just to remind folks about enrollment data, that doesn't happen until the end of September, correct? So we wouldn't have that until October, right?
That's correct. We get the official enrollment data on September 30th. Our teams of registrars and school administrators are starting to do their regular drops. They're still enrolling kids, so we're still in flux at the moment. But yes, September 30th is the actual enrollment date. But I can give you a general sense of where we are in terms of bodies in the building currently on that date.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Noonan. Any questions about the upcoming events, upcoming items? Okay. I think that's all we have. And yeah, thanks for everybody for engaging, and meeting adjourned. Thanks.